Okay, so today we're diving into a case that's been haunting the internet for years, the death of Kendrick Johnson.
It's a story that really gets to the heart of some really big questions, about racial injustice and whether the system actually works for everyone.
Exactly, and I think that's why it's still so relevant today. So we're going to unpack the evidence, the theories, and the controversy, and hopefully offer you some, food for thought.
Yeah, for sure.
So to set the stage, for anyone who hasn't heard of this case, it's 2013, we're in Valdosta, Georgia, and a 17-year-old high school student, Kendrick Johnson, is found dead in, of all places, a rolled-up gym mat.
Yeah, a rolled-up gym mat standing upright.
Yeah.
It's one of those details that right from the start makes you go, wait, what?
Right.
And that's just the beginning.
So the initial ruling from the authorities was accidental suffocation. They said Kendrick was reaching for a shoe, fell headfirst into the mat, and got trapped.
That was their theory, but even then, a lot of people were like, hold on, how does that even physically happen? I mean, imagine trying to climb into a rolled-up gym mat. It's not exactly easy to picture, is it?
Not at all. And that's what Kendrick's family thought, too. They were immediately skeptical, and honestly, who could blame them?
Right from the start, they felt like the investigation wasn't thorough enough. There were just too many things that didn't add up. And then they decided to get an independent autopsy done, and that's where things took a really sharp turn.
Okay, so tell me about this independent autopsy. What did it find?
Well, the independent autopsy found something that completely contradicted the official story. They found blunt force trauma to Kendrick's neck, specifically on the right side. The pathologist who did the autopsy was pretty clear this wasn't some minor injury. This was a serious blow.
Wow. So we have a pretty significant conflict here, right?
Right.
Accidental suffocation versus blunt force trauma.
Exactly. And that really threw fuel on the fire. The family was already suspicious, and this just confirmed their fears that something wasn't right.
So at this point, the family is obviously distraught, and they are starting to believe that, maybe something really bad happened here. Maybe this wasn't an accident. And then they're hit with another bombshell.
Yeah, and this is one of the details of this case that really sticks with people, the whole issue of tampered evidence.
And so what exactly are we talking about here? Give me the specifics.
So there were a number of things. First off, there was missing surveillance footage from the school. Key footage that could have shed light on what happened to Kendrick was just gone.
Okay, missing footage. What else?
Then there were problems with Kendrick's clothes and shoes. They were mishandled, not properly documented, which again raises questions about the thoroughness of the investigation.
Right, but there's one more thing, something even more disturbing.
Yeah, this is the one that really gets people talking. When Kendrick's body was exhumed for the independent autopsy, his organs were missing.
Wait, missing? What do you mean missing?
They had been replaced with newspapers. Literally, newspapers were stuffed into his body cavity where his organs should have been.
Okay, now that's just bizarre. What was the explanation for that?
Honestly, there's no good explanation. Some people have speculated that it was some kind of really messed up embalming method, maybe a cost-cutting thing. But why not use standard procedures? It just doesn't make sense.
No, it really doesn't. And for the family, this must have been incredibly traumatic. I mean, they're already grieving the loss of their son, and then they have to deal with this.
Oh, absolutely. It just added to their pain and mistrust. They felt like someone was trying to hide something, and it's hard to blame them for thinking that.
So, given all of this, it's not surprising that in 2013, a federal investigation was launched.
Right. The feds came in to look into potential civil rights violations, basically to see if Kendrick's death was the result of foul play.
So what came of that investigation?
Well, unfortunately, it didn't really provide the answers everyone was hoping for. In 2016, the investigation was closed without any charges being filed. They concluded that there wasn't enough evidence to support a federal crime, and the official cause of death remained accidental suffocation.
So no answers, no justice, and a family left wondering what really happened to their son.
And it's that lack of closure, that sense of something being unresolved, that has kept this case in the public eye all these years.
It's also fueled all sorts of alternative theories and speculation, right? I mean, the internet loves a good mystery.
Yeah.
And this one has it all. A suspicious death, conflicting evidence, and powerful questions about race and justice.
Absolutely. And Kendrick's family has been very vocal about their belief that he was murdered, even naming specific individuals they believe were involved. But it's important to remember that no charges were ever filed against anyone, and these accusations remain just that, accusations.
And it's important for us to be clear about that. We're not here to point fingers or make judgments. We're here to explore the facts and the evidence. But this case does raise some really important questions about how investigations are conducted, especially when the victim is a young black man.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ignore the context here. This case happened against a backdrop of growing awareness of racial injustice in America, and it became a symbol for many people of a system that often fails to deliver justice for black victims.
So we have a tragedy, a mystery, and a whole lot of unanswered questions.
Mhm.
And then, in 2021, there was a new development. The case was reopened.
Right. There was some hope that maybe finally some new evidence would come to light. Maybe some of those questions would be answered.
So what happened?
Well, in 2022, the authorities once again reaffirmed their original ruling of accidental death. They stood by their initial investigation, despite all the controversy and the family's continued objections.
So for Kendrick's family, it was like hitting a brick wall all over again.
Yeah, it was a devastating blow. They felt like they were being ignored, like their son's life didn't matter. And sadly, their fight for justice continues.
And that's the truly heartbreaking part of this story. A young life was lost, and there's still so many unanswered questions.
And this case really highlights the importance of thorough, impartial investigations.
It also forces us to ask ourselves some tough questions. How can we ensure that everyone, regardless of race or background, gets a fair shake when it comes to justice? How can we build a system that values all lives equally?
And on a more individual level, I think this case challenges us to think critically, to not just accept the official narrative at face value, but to really examine the evidence and come to our own conclusions. If the official explanation doesn't fully satisfy, what alternative scenarios could explain the evidence and circumstances surrounding Kendrick's death?
What would it take to truly get justice for Kendrick Johnson? We encourage you to keep digging, keep asking questions, and keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about one case. It's about all of us and the kind of world we want to live in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's our deep dive into the death of Kendrick Johnson. A complex case with no easy answers, but one that I think we can all learn from. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.